give you a ticket for that $10. Today's rally is designed as after the old-time concept of stump speaking and is not a forum nor a debate. Each candidate will be allowed 5 minutes to introduce themselves and lay out their platform. An additional 5 minutes has been allotted for questions, which I will moderate. Time will be strictly observed by our timekeeper, Ms. Phoebe Spangler, in the back of the room. Will be time for both the stump speech and the Q&A session. If the candidates will look toward the back of the atrium where a green light will switch on, show them. Okay, the next candidate is for State Representative District 48, Mr. David Levy. Did I say that right? Huh? Okay, good. 5 minutes of questions, okay?
Hello, everyone. I'm David Levy. I'm from Bunkie, Louisiana. I went to a public high school, Bunkie High School, and then I went to LSU, got a degree in petroleum engineering, and then I got a degree in mechanical engineering. And in 1990, then I moved to Broussard and worked for Halliburton. I was a logging engineer for 3 years. I brought this visual today. It's not too good, but I brought a visual of the U.S. production of oil in barrels per day. Right here in 2009, in fact, in 2009 is the last time I was in this facility. We were in those rooms right over there. We were doing what's called a CWAP, which is a completion. I don't remember what the W is for, but it's a completion on paper. So we all met here, and in fact, we went through the completion step by step, and it was all written down. The completion was for Noble Energy, the Leviathan project in Israel. So it was really an interesting time, and it was an exciting thing to do. But at that time, the U.S. was producing about 4,000 barrels of oil a day. Today, the U.S. production is at 12 million barrels per day. Okay? So that's 3 times more oil per day that's being produced. And yet, for some reason, the Republican Party is telling you that John Bel Edwards is getting rid of the oil industry. It doesn't make any sense at all. That's not what's happening. The reason that the oil field is in Texas is because the oil field created this new technology called shale technology, where they drill horizontally, they drill through the shale, they go sideways, and in fact, that sideways drilling technology was really developed in Broussard. We developed the mud motors in the mid-90s that allowed them to do that. So they drill sideways through the shale, and they pump fluid down, and they frack it with sand, and they're able to produce. It's much easier than going offshore. So all that work is in West Texas. So we're producing 12 million barrels a day. The market is completely satisfied. In fact, Harold Hamm, who is the CEO of Continental Resources, was recently quoted at an industry function saying that we have the ability to oversupply the market, and we have. So the idea that we are somehow going to beg and bribe the oil companies to come here and give us some jobs is just not going to happen. They're going to continue to produce in the shale technologies in the Permian Basin and the back-end fields, those types of things. It's just easier to do. It's more economical to do. They're not going to do it here. So, what do? The first thing we do is we stop all these ridiculous tax incentives. The ITEP, they need to stop all the ITEP exemptions. My business is petrotechnology. I design small tube connections that are associated with deep water connection, or deep water completions. I sell equipment all over the world. We need to stop. So every time I buy a machine, which I haven't purchased a machine now in probably 7 or 8 years, every time I buy a machine, I get a property tax exemption. It just needs to stop. Blake Miguez just reenacted this ridiculous tax exemption on raw materials for goods that are bound for the offshore continental shelf. That also affects my business. That ridiculous tax exemption is not even worth the paperwork. That should be struck too. It's odd that Blake Miguez, who is a state representative, runs a boat company that loads up the equipment that receives the tax exemption that goes out to the offshore continental shelf. So you should realize what's going on out there. So all of these tax exemptions need to go. We don't need to be in the business of attracting business. We need to lose that mentality. We need to understand what government is for. Government needs to set very simple tax rules, and we abide by them, and we apply them to everybody. We receive these tax funds, and then we appropriate those funds for the people. We build our roads, we support our public schools, and we provide health care. We don't pretend to be in some sort of business and come up with all these tax schemes that do nothing but take money from us and gives it to the corporations. We're just paying, is what we're doing, just giving them our money. In fact, they want to reduce the severance tax for the offshore oil production from $18 to $13. They want to give them another $5 to pad their profit margins. The lifting costs are about $50 offshore. Price of oil is about $55, so there's really no profit margins right now. So the entire Republican Party and the entire idea that John Bel Edwards has some miraculous power and some group of attorneys that are causing everybody to leave Louisiana has absolutely nothing to do with it. It has to do with the U.S. oil production and the price of oil. The market is satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you, David. But also, thank you. That was the word I couldn't come up with, the severance taxes, right? And now Mary Landrieu, our Democratic Congresswoman, had fought for us to get a greater percentage of the severance taxes. She was, of course, replaced by a Republican, and we're seeing those, the onslaught of trying to attack those, right? Okay. So that's what's at issue here. Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Levy? Any questions? Look, we have one question in the back. Peggy.
And Bill Cassidy just introduced legislation to cut the severance tax.
I understand clearly that you're against any tax incentives, especially the tipping upon tax incentives. Tell me how you plan to attract businesses to the state of Louisiana if you don't have those incentives in place. What are some of our options so we can know?
The purpose of government is not to attract business or provide jobs. So the way that you do that is you have a stable community. You have good public schools. You have good roads. I had an employee that moved in January of this year, moved from Louisiana moved from New Iberia to Arkansas because he had 4 kids and he had $20,000 bill for private school. So he moved to Arkansas and put them in public school, and that bill's gone.
Well, I understand it's being sustainable, but at the same time, we still have to grow our communities and create jobs. How do we do that?
Well, you're right. The private sector does that. I'm working on, off-grid solar window unit AC systems that don't connect to the grid. If you create a community that is safe and stable, those things create themselves. That's not the purpose of government. I can assure you that John Kennedy and Jeff Landry and Clay Higgins are not capable of doing these types of things. It requires the people in the community with the smarts and the ingenuity to do it. But those people have to be able to create. They have to be able to have a community and create. We need neighborhood schools so that people can live safely, and then they'll create.
Over here, Peggy. Okay, you're next, okay? Christy, and then,
What do you think about opportunity zone programs?
The opportunity zone programs are a Trump ripoff, is what they are. Because I've looked into it. What it allows people to do is to take a capital gain and invest it in an opportunity zone. And there's one in New Iberia, and there's absolutely no application for it. It's not going to help anybody. What I'm looking at in New Iberia is to rehabilitate some of the adjudicated properties, because the rental rates are still high. So you can purchase a property, you can rebuild that property to a code, and then you can rent to own to the community so that they can get the property back. You can give it back to the community. Instead of, what they did was they taxed that community and they built a $1 million airport terminal that Bristow is using for helicopters. They're not even paying for it. Okay, what they could have done is they could have taken that $1 million, rebuilt 20 houses, and they'd have gotten their money back.
That's what Mr. Henry did. You got selfish individuals and that's what happens.
I understand, but what really is happening is that you have incompetent people that think that they know how to be in business, that are trying to run businesses through the government. And what happens is when those businesses fail because they were incompetent, they just shrug their shoulders and walk away. They're not responsible for any of it. So now that the oil field is tanking again, and that $1 million airport terminal is not being used by really anybody, what happens? Nothing. Nobody gets blamed for that. So everybody just kind of walks away, and we all paid for it, and we got nothing. We could have had 20 homes that were rehab where we get the money back, the community's purchasing, we got nothing.
I have one question here. This is your last question.
About 3 times today, I've heard someone say something about government. Okay? Government created a lot of the issues that's in my neighborhood. Okay? They made their deals, their backroom promises, without any regard to the people. The government is for the people, of the people, and by the people. And I would appreciate if the government took the same interest in the people that they are starving. Okay? So I think in that respect, I think you're wrong. The government created these problems, so I think now it's their responsibility to fix it, along with helping the community. And we're suffering. Just because you're not, doesn't mean we are.
Well, that's why I'm running. I'm running against 3 Republicans. My district is gerrymandered so that the people are not represented. It's impossible for somebody to actually represent the people that live there. The people are being taxed so that they have to pay for an airport terminal that does them no good. So, I'm a successful businessman. I still am. I'm not going to apologize for that.
When you say the government shouldn't be involved in bringing jobs and different things like that, I disagree, because it was the government policies and practices that created these situations. How do you justify incentivizing companies to come into your community, into disenfranchised communities, on a promise that they're helping them, and then when they can no longer rate those communities just up and leave, and the government allows it? Why is there no exit strategy built into all of those financial problems? It's not there.
The purpose of government is not to provide business, because that is an authoritarian government. The purpose of the government is to provide those disenfranchised communities with good schools, with good health care, with good community centers, and then the communities build up from there. The businesses will come to those communities. The communities are being completely devastated because they are taking the tax money from those communities and they're shifting it to other districts, is what they're doing. They're doing it now. As a matter of fact, the Section 8 housing in Lafayette is being privatized and given to a Republican company. Just hand it over, and they're going to make tons of money off of it.
Okay, David. Okay, I'm sorry. No, wait, I'm going to answer your question. What? Yeah, I'm sorry, we're out of time, but I'm going to answer your question. Government is not the problem. Your government, he's government, I'm government, the government is us, okay? The problem is we have the wrong people in government, okay? And the reason we are here today is to hear from some of those people who could make better choices for the rest of the government, which is the people. Okay, but yeah, so, but we're going to give everybody, thank you, David. Okay, we got a couple more of the, yes. Yeah, I know, I hear you, but like I say, you know, we allowed, was it Cassidy that replaced Mary Landrieu? Nobody allowed that but us, okay? We're losing those severance taxes because of us. You didn't get out to vote. You're the government, I'm the government, everybody in this room, and the ones who haven't shown up are the government. And we need to get holding us accountable to get us out to those polls and quit complaining about the government not doing its job. Okay, I know you do because you're here. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, next we have for District 96, Mr. Marcus Bryant, State Representative. Ooh, there you are.
Thank you so much. We got it. 5 minutes.
And then questions.
All right. Good evening. Marcus Bryant. I am from New Iberia, Louisiana. I'm running for House District 96. I've been in St. Martinville for the last 24 years. I'm a child of this district. I spent 17 in New Iberia and again 24 in St. Martin. My business is a law firm located on Pinhook, about a mile from my district on the north side of Lafayette. I am running for District 96 to fight for the things that our community needs, to fight for the issues that face our community and hurt our community in order to lift our community up and make us stronger. And when I say fight for the issues, I'm talking about the elderly. I'm talking about the elderly benefits. I'm talking about the elderly programs. I'm talking about the elderly, the housing, the utility assistance, the housing assistance, and making sure the elderly do not have to pick between paying for prescription drugs and paying their rent. They shouldn't have to. I am elated. I'm thankful for DPEC for having this forum. It allows us to come out and bring the issues forward and present ourselves. I am asking you for your support. I want to fight for the educators. I was raised by educators. My father was an educator. My mom was an educator. My aunt was an educator. My Aunt Michelle worked for the Department of Education for 20 years in Baton Rouge. I have people around me that are not going to allow me to go to Baton Rouge and forget about the people that sent me there. I understand the issues. I understand the things that plague our community. I was a person that got in trouble in the 10th grade. I have a 10th grade education. I fought for the 10th grade education, got a GED, and had to understand the benefits and how powerful our vocational education could be. Without a vocational education, without our VOTEX, without our SLCCs and these other programs, I don't exist today. If I don't go to school to be paint and body and do paint body shop, I don't run into somebody there that says, I'm bigger than that. I should try college. I should try to get a GED and push forward. So I get a GED and I push forward and I end up at Southern University in English to be a school teacher. I go to school for 3 years to be a school teacher, believing that I didn't have a duty to come back home. Since I got out of trouble, I came up, I had benefited, I did probation, I did everything that I needed to do, and I need to come home and make sure no other kids went through the things that I went through and fight and be an educator. And it wasn't until I got into education that my teachers in education said, you need to go to law school. And then when I got in law school, they said, you need to run for president of law school. And then I got out of law school and I got a clerkship with Judge Porter, the very man who sentenced me in high school. He gave me a job, right? And then Judge Height calls me up and I go to federal court and I work in federal court, right? So the same people from the same community that saw me at my worst helped me out and brought me here to be my best, right? So I'm a living example of what a child needs to see from my community in a district that was designed for minorities to have a voice in Baton Rouge, for minorities to have some kind of fight to bring the issues forward for the continuing things that go in our community could stop. So who better than a person that overcame every adversity a community could bring and overcame and then came back to live and be in that community, to serve that community, right? So as an attorney, people that come to my office don't pay me, right? They don't pay a dime. If we don't recover, they don't pay a dime. This is people who have no money. This is people who need an attorney, someone to go and fight for them. And that's what I've been doing for 13 years. So going to Baton Rouge is no different. It's a fight. It's a struggle to make sure educators have the things they need in order to provide a quality education to our kids and have a happy life for themselves, right? And having truancy and having accountability on the parents and all those issues that children face, we have to fight to make those programs and make parents accountable for their children's actions in order for our kids to thrive, right? So you're dealing with the elderly, you're dealing with education, you're dealing with infrastructure, you're dealing with a $14 million backlog on streets and roads and highways, and you're dealing with a state that gives $8 billion in tax incentives to large corporations that has $14 billion in infrastructure problems dealing with their roads and highways that are used to bring other businesses here, other highway people who travel on our interstates in order to want to come to Louisiana. It's a bumpy fight getting to Louisiana once you cross onto our border. We all know that. So thank y'all. I want y'all to pray for me. I want y'all to help me. Call people that you know in my district, people that you understand that lives in Iberia or St. Martin or on the north side of Lafayette, and ask them to at least invite me to their home so that I can tell them my story and speak about the issues that they really want to see changed in Baton Rouge. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, I have the first question for Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant mentioned as an attorney,
Yes.
right, representing people who've been done wrong sometimes, and if you you don't settle for them, then you don't charge them. Would you please explain what tort reform is and how that affects? I mean, isn't there people have the right to sue, right, for recovery,
Right.
Okay, but is tort reform really a reform?
No.
Okay, would you explain that?
Tort reform is not a reform, it's a way to cripple people's right to get into the court system. Right? This last legislature wanted to put a threshold of $5,000 for you to pick a jury. Right? So they don't understand. The judge gets 3 jury trials. A judge in North Iberia represents the people of St. Martin and the people of St. Mary. The current cost to run a jury trial is about $6,000 to $7,000, right? So it's $50,000 now. If it's $50,000 or less, you go to city court. It's cheaper on a person. It's $200 for them to bring their dispute, and they can sue up to $15,000, right? So the tort deal was you could do $5,000 and pick a jury, right? A person who's suing for $5,000 would have to pay $2,700 to pay for a jury to come to court to fight for $5,000, right? And then our city court system, what you're going to do with it if you open up a jury system in district court for jurors? It shuts down the ability for a small person, a person who has limited income, to go to city court and have an issue. Because a jury threshold of $5,000 is a right of everyone. The defense could pick a jury, just like a person that was injured could pick a jury. And if you take a poor person who's fighting for their property, fighting for their fence, fighting for their tree, a tree that has fallen on their home, and they go to court and they sue an insurance company for their money because the person where the tree fell had insurance, right? The defense, the insurance company, Allstate, $1 billion company, has the right to embark a jury trial. right? So how does that person get to pay and have to pay for experts to come to court, to come and present their issues to a jury versus go and speak to a judge without an attorney? Now the insurance company wants a jury trial. So that's totally uneconomical. It doesn't make sense. And that's why it never passed. In a red state, it didn't pass. Because when they came forward, they said, well, what kind of distress and what kind of economic impact this puts on the state? And it was in the billions that our court system would have to pay if we brought a jury threshold. But the issue of tort reform with the billboards, I do think people are and do have billboard fatigue. I think they are tired. As soon as you pull into Louisiana, you see a billboard every 100 yards, every other mile. But I think it still would be a problem. It's going to be an impingement on the First Amendment to try to get attorneys and take away their right to buy a billboard in order to enforce their First Amendment right to say what they want to say. But attorneys, if they don't get together and they don't start governing each other, and they don't start putting panels amongst each other and saying, we are crippling our own system, that the same system that we're fighting, we are becoming a problem, then that's going to be a problem always in Louisiana, and we're always going to get a sore eye as attorneys, as injury lawyers, that we are somehow increasing insurance, which has never been proven or shown to be true.
Okay. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? Okay, 2 questions. I think that's what we'll have time for. Right here first. Okay. Who's first? Who's going first?
Just to let you know that Mr. Bryant not only does all that he said he does, I just want to congratulate him and commend him, but he does some things that for children and for elderly and for people that are in need that he will never tell you. But I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell
Quickly.
you.
He's already got the yellow light.
He gives to so many different organizations and helps so many different people. And we thank you publicly, and you continue to have that heart for the community.
Now, one more quick question.
Okay, guys, this is where you really get to find out what I do for a living. I sell health insurance. My specialty is disabled, special needs. Okay? So I get to travel all over Louisiana and see the deplorable conditions so many seniors are in. Why is that sensitive to me? I'm 65 years old. I've been with disability before this since 2005. Okay? They are literally trying to decide whether or not they're going to pay insurance premiums of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair.
Right.
Okay? The Medicaid system took half of them off of Medicaid and sent them a letter telling them that they were going to do it. And so when they think they're going to the doctors for this, that, and other, they're paying co-payments for prescription drug payments. And no one's policing that, but you know, you want to cancel the barbecue, you want to take this medicine away, you want to do that. I want to know, as a legislator, what your plan is to help these disenfranchised people.
Mm-hmm. In healthcare,
They
right.
cannot help themselves.
To fight for Medicare expansion, fight for the elderly programs and the different things that we just discussed. That is a high priority. I have a 96-year-old grandmother who's been on Medicaid my whole life, who has issues that put her in the hospital for weeks at a time. I'm with you. I'm very concerned about that, and I will always fight for that. Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bryant. Cammie Maturin, Ms. Cammie Maturin, State Representative District 96.
Hi, my name is Cammie Maturin. I was born in New Iberia. I was raised in District 96 for about 35 years of my life. I moved away for college, and a little while before right after I had my son, but I've been in the district for about 35 years total. I am a graduate of New Iberia Senior High and UL Lafayette. I am a public school educator. when I decided to run, I decided not as a favor or as a request from anyone in particular, no politician, no anybody in a public service. What I did was I ran because I was ready for change in Louisiana. For the last 10 years, I have fought the legislature, went to the legislature on multiple occasions talking about education reform, criminal justice reform. I teach public education, as Quinta does too, in Iberia Parish. And I am really tired of the curriculum that has been sent our way from the Department of Education. Our curriculum is set up for our children to fail. It is set up to keep our education to prison pipeline flowing. And I think we need to go back to the ways we used to teach kids. Right now, it is a scripted curriculum, whereas the teacher reads exactly what she has to tell the child or the children in class, and you turn around and they have to teach on one straight platform. We have about 20 people in here and none of us learn the same. So I think we need to go back to teaching kids on their learning ability. I also agree that our early childhood development is very important. It is statistically proven that the earlier a child gets into education, the better they perform later in education. I also agree that our criminal justice system is broken and flawed. We over-incarcerate our African American, Black and brown people entirely too much. I have a Black child or a child of African American descent who I wake up every morning and let him know he has 2 strikes against him, at least in the state of Louisiana. We are over in sentencing our Black folk here. A white person with the same amount of drugs as a Black person will get a whole lot less time than that Black person, and I think it's unfair, and I think it needs to change. We also need to hold accountable those who falsely accuse and prosecute our citizens here in Louisiana. I don't think a prosecutor or a cop should have any kind of immunity, especially when they knew beforehand the person was innocent. I think there's sanctions that need to happen. I think we need to stop. We need to bring up our education system because our education system is a key to our businesses here. If our education system's better, we'll get more businesses here, we'll get more people coming into Louisiana for jobs that don't mind their children in public schools. My child goes to a private school in New Iberia simply because our public school, the curriculum there would dumb him down compared to what he does at this private school. I want him to have the best education. So that's why he goes where he goes. I teach at a public school, and those kids become mine the day they walk on campus. So I want to do more for our education system. I think it's time that an educator get on an education committee to be able to give those different perspectives, but also someone who has dealt with the criminal justice system, because I started my career as a probation and parole officer. And when things got hot and messed up for them, I didn't turn and run and I didn't walk away. I stayed there and I helped them. I sent the least amount of offenders back to jail in our whole office because I wanted to rehabilitate them and not incarcerate them. So my name is Cammie Maturin. I am number 85 on the ballot, and if you want change and your voice in Baton Rouge, your voice needs to talk on October 12th and vote for Cammie Maturin, number 85. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. We have any questions for Ms. Maturin? Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. We have ask Mr. Gerald Boudreaux to join me up here. He is currently serving us in State Senate seat District 24, done a fabulous job. We need to re-elect him. Okay.
Thank you. I know we're 2 people away from leaving, so it's almost like lunch. You don't want to be the person speaking right before lunch, everybody's ready to eat. But I want to thank the DPEC for this opportunity today to bring more information to our community. Also want to thank AOC for being here and giving people a chance that could not attend today, an opportunity to see this later on before the elections. I'm honored and proud to serve District 24 in the Louisiana State Senate, one of 39 senators. And while listening to all of the questions, there's always going to be a lot of questions. But I want to commend every one of the candidates that have come up, because this is what we call America. This is the country that's free, and everyone's entitled to run for whatever position they want to. And while someone said earlier, there should not be any unopposed seats, I agree with that. And I'm excited that Mr. Bruce started saying he's okay with the school board. Look, it gives you an opportunity to hit the reset button to see what people say they were going to do if they've done it. So 4 years ago, I said I had a couple of things that I wanted to get done. Education was at the top of that priority list. I've served on Senate Education Committee. You know, someone mentioned earlier about the $1,000 raise, and I'll tell you this, it was actually a joke that is not funny, because we should be paying our teachers more. If this was not in the election year, I want to tell you, the $1,000 raise would not have passed. But we don't have enough people that would vote against it in the election year. Now, the hardest part is going to be part 2 of that, when we go back. See, what happened in Mississippi, they gave their teachers an average of $12,000 raise this year. In Arkansas, they gave their teachers an average of $14,000 raise. We gave a $1,000 raise to our teachers and $500 to support staff. And we were held hostage until the last week of session before they decided to vote with us on something that should have been taken care of the first week. We had educators, we had stakeholders coming to the Capitol to basically beg for $1,000. You see, as a party, it's okay for us to disagree, but at the end of the day, we have to join forces and come together. If you're a Democrat and I'm a Democrat, at the end of the day, if they split us, or if we stay home and don't vote, we lose. Because you see it now in Washington, D.C. The guy in there put an R behind his name, and they all voted for him, regardless of his past, regardless of any of that. We have to do a better job. So with the little time that I'm going to, before I close, it's up to us to take care of our business. Now, I could stand up here and tell you all the things I'm going to do. As I said, there's 39 senators. It takes 20 to get a bill passed out of the Senate. 20. There are 13 Democrats currently in the Senate. Do the math. So I could promise to go to the moon and come back. So I commended those other candidates who are running for state representative in the local level as well, because the second point on my card that you have is connectivity. You see, you can't get it done by yourself, and you can't take credit when it's good, point the finger when it's bad. We have to be connected at the local level to make sure that our resources are connected with our state resources. At the end of the day, the question that you asked earlier about what a state representative or a senator does, all we do is connect our people with the resources to make their quality of life as best as it can be. That's our job. Now, all the other things that come along with it, and I don't play golf, I think Pete left, so I'm not in that category of those going there to play golf. It's a serious job. We cannot play with our people's lives when we talk about education, when we talk about the Medicaid expansion, and over 450,000 people today, working poor people, have insurance today. And I get appalled every time I hear our United States Senator John Kennedy talk about it as a waste of federal dollars. You know, when he gives up his lucrative health care package he has as being a United States Senator, then he can come and tell us what we don't need to do. But at the end of the day, if Louisiana doesn't take the Medicaid expansion, you know where it goes? It goes to the people in Texas and in Arkansas and Mississippi. So what's wrong with us claiming what belongs to us? And I'm glad we have a governor who signed it, and I voted for it, and it's rolled out there. And today, 450,000 people are benefiting from that. Now, when we talk about health care, and I'm going to close on this one, it really doesn't hit you, it doesn't impact you until it's your mom who doesn't have it, and she needs this major surgery, and she can't afford it. But it shouldn't be that way, because we should care about everybody's mom, you know? And those who don't have the ability to pay, there are some options. So I want to thank you for allowing me to represent you in the Louisiana State Senate these last 4 years. There's a lot of work to be done, but there are strength in numbers. And I got to tell you, if we don't get more Democrats elected, all of these speeches are just going to be on TV and repeated and repeated. Because just like with President Obama, who didn't get an opportunity to even get the Congress to vote on the United States Supreme Court justice, they won't bring the things that matter to our community on the floor of the Louisiana House Senate. So thank you. God bless each and every one of you. Again, thanks to AOC, to the DPEC for giving us an opportunity to be here today and to serve in this capacity. Thank you.
Okay, now first of all, I want to clarify something. When I said nobody should run unopposed, I meant no Republican ought to run unopposed. And you know what? Sometimes Democrats need to go too, but when you got a good senator like Mr. Boudreaux, we need to keep him there. Okay, and do we have any questions for Senator Boudreaux? Hilda, you excited? Okay, look, we have a question. Rhonda has a question in the back.
I have a comment, I guess, actually. You have a cheerleader here, but I want to be a bigger cheerleader.
No, she's here.
I'm going to be a bigger cheerleader than you. Senator Boudreaux has been extremely helpful whenever I needed a place for an event. We had the student March for Our Lives. We came through, we made sure we've done our sound ordinance, we made sure we had space, we made sure that we've had spaces throughout the city. We've had voter registrations because you helped us locate the park. You know, you have been helpful here at home, but you have always been helpful at the legislature too. I wish you were unopposed. I don't know why you're here today, except it's always good to see you. But the other thing is, every time I've seen you at the legislature, even sometimes when you see me come in and you want to go the other way, you can tell about that look, like something happened. And I understand why sometimes things have to go one way and then we reel it back and then it works out later in the session. I get that. But even though he saw me come in, he stood there, let me speak, and he let me say what I needed to say. And I really appreciate you. You have been instrumental to me as an advocate, as a daughter of Lafayette, and of course, it doesn't hurt that you were a great president when Dad was coaching. So, but anyway, I really, you know, I'm 110%.
Thank you. Thank you. And look, let me say this. We all need to be held accountable. That's why government falls apart, because we get promises, and so I'm not threatened by having an opponent, because it gives me an opportunity to say what I said I was going to do, and then I can show you. And not in 5 minutes, but I try to show you every day. And that outreach, I appreciate that, Rhonda and Hilda and everybody else here. We've been to 3 or 4 functions today. We got 2 or 3 more. I enjoy this. I think everybody needs to be held accountable. And when we do that, even us as Democrats, because you know what's happened in the last 10 years? A lot of us who got there on somebody else's shoulder decided all of a sudden, if we want to stay there, then maybe we need to join the other party. You see, but once we hold them accountable, it'll be a little bit difficult for them to jump. Because, and I just, in closing, Mary Landry did more for the alt industry in this state than anyone else. And you saw how fast they turned on her. And so those who are in Texas and other places, God bless them.
Okay, we have one more question here.
Yes.
As everybody can tell, I'm very upset about Walmart. Okay, but what I really want to know is there a plan in place for the revitalization of the north side of town that would help people understand why they have this event?
Yes.
I just want to say, a little bit program, job training program, skill programs that would help support my community. I said,
Yeah, so the Walmart closing is a local, okay, and just to be as honest as I can be, you know, when Walmart decides they're gonna leave, they're gonna leave. But what we've been able to do is through workforce development at the state level, that job training and everything, provide some incentives to make sure that those incentives are for those employees. And we're talking about people who could be now displaced because of housing opportunities. So state workforces come in. The brunt of that is local. So between the council member, the mayor, and those folks, and the community, you see, the community. At the end of the day, when Walmart looks at the bottom line and they see where their profit is, they're going to move. But there are always options. My thing is that we have to stay engaged in these conversations. We have to stay a part of it. And so many times, decisions like that, emotionally, we get an outburst and then it goes away. We have to sustain that engagement, and we have to attend city council meetings and ask for updates. At some point, somebody from Arkansas, where the company's in Fayetteville is what I was trying to recall.
Right.
Fayetteville, Arkansas will get the message. And we can do that in a very nonviolent way by attending council meetings, asking the local officials as well as state officials to invite them down here to some type of forum. So if you don't want to build a super Walmart, why not a smaller scale down Walmart? Why not look at some other options other than just having another blighted property in this community? So my challenge is that we stay engaged, and again, there's always strength in numbers. So the biggest part of it has to come from a push from the community, those who reside in that community. Because just like voting, if we don't vote, they don't count us and they don't care about us. If we don't attend those council meetings, hold the legislators, hold the council members, hold the mayor responsible, they move to another item on the agenda. You don't see any empty buildings in River Ranch. You don't see any in those areas where you have a large amount of money, there's an influx of money that comes in and out. Okay, so that would be my response to that.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for hosting. Yes, indeed.
Okay. I also want to name Dwazendra Smith, who is running for district judge.
Correct.
District judge next year. She's bought a table. She's trying to get involved in the process early, so we're going to give Dwazendra the same 5 minutes that we've given all the other candidates. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Dwaz Smith. I am running for 15th Judicial District Court Judge. My race is next year, so I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I appreciate being here all day today because I love stuff like this where we're able to get together and come together instead of us being divided because we're stronger together. I was born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana, where I attended Louisiana State University in Shreveport. During the first part of my college matriculation, I had my beautiful daughter, Deja, who forced me to really refocus my energy on what it is that I needed to do because I knew that I had someone that I had to take care of and someone that was looking up to me. So, after I graduated from LUS, my daughter and I both went to Southern University Law Center. And during my time at Southern University Law Center, I was the SBA president, which is the Student Bar Association president. I also had the honor and privilege of working for the former Chief Justice of the United States District Court for the Middle District of Louisiana, Ralph Tyson, rest his soul. I also had the honor and privilege of working for our current Chief Justice, Justice Bryant Joshua Johnson. After I graduated from SULC, I came to the Lafayette area. I raised my daughter in the Lafayette area. My daughter is now a junior in college. When I first got here, I did insurance defense and family law, and then I transitioned on to where I am now, Durant & Cawthorn Law Firm, where I'm a partner. I currently do personal injury, criminal law, civil litigation. So I've seen both sides of it. As a judge, that's what you need, somebody that knows both sides of it. I've also been a pro se litigant, so I know how it feels to stand in court and have the judge talk to you like you're nothing. I implore y'all to hold me accountable if that ever happens with me. You need a judge that is firm, fair, and focused. You need a judge that is committed to the rule of law. You need a judge that wants you to hold them accountable. A judge that inside and outside of that black robe is the same person, that treats you with respect and dignity. That person is me. I know I only have 5 minutes. I have so much more to say. So if anybody has any questions, y'all let me know. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions right now for Ms. Smith? Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you for coming.
Perfect. Brevity is the best, huh?
Brevity is the soul of wit. Okay. We're going to end the program now. I want to thank you again to everyone who came and stayed. Either some of you stayed the entire day. I just have to meet you afterwards. But the people who have come in and out, and all of our candidates, of course. Again, I want to thank all of our sponsors. I want to thank AOC. I want to remind everyone, too, what so many of our candidates said about government beginning and accountability beginning at the local level. If you cannot get out to your city council meeting, you can see the council meetings on AOC. They rebroadcast every single council meeting. Watch them. If you find something that you don't need to go all the time, but if you find something that really bothers you, go and talk and let them know about it, okay? A couple of things that are very, very important for all Democrats to do this election: get out the vote. We need to get your everybody. I'm looking to you to bring a car full 2 or 3 times over to the a girlfriend of mine and I have a tradition. It used to be my mama came with us too before she passed a couple of years ago. But the first day of early voting, we went to breakfast at Dwyer's, we went to vote, and then we went shopping. So yeah, y'all can come too. And finally, especially you local candidates, it's going to be confusing to some people. The city and parish district changes. Please make sure your constituents understand how those things are going to play out. I want to thank everybody again. Goodbye, be safe, and vote Democrat.